Well, it is my pleasure to here this morning to welcome Harold Gordonbein and Gavi Cohn from Apex Reimbursement Specialists to our studios. We're excited they've come here all the way from Baltimore to teach us about insurance and what's happening and the important role that insurance plays in a dental office. Kind of how and the changing landscape as well of what's happening in the insurance world and why is it important for dentists to look at what they're doing in terms of their fees and their rates, what they're getting, what's happening in the world of credentialing, what's happening in the world of renegotiation, what's happening in the world of HMOs, as well as what really can you do to make sure that you're complying with the laws, because the laws are out there, and sometimes you just don't know of them. And obviously, as we know, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. You just have to follow them.
We see it all the time.
So you don't want to run afoul of any of the problems. So the idea for today at the studio is we're going to record a whole bunch of small workshops for you guys to really give you an idea of what it means to truly optimize your insurance operations from all standpoints, from a fee standpoint, from a compliance standpoint, as well as from a credentialing standpoint. And Apex really is at the forefront of this across the country. They have been, any dental show I've been to, everybody knows them, everybody knows of them, whether they've used them or not. These guys truly have mastered the art of fee negotiation, which is very, very crucial. If you ask most dentists, as you guys know, right, when's the last time you negotiated your fees? People don't have an answer, or it's my billing company did something. So unless you know what you don't know, you're not gonna get what you want. And in this increasingly important time where the single practitioners or the smaller practices are competing with good practices, every dollar matters, and getting extra for everything you do could add a significant amount of revenue to your practice. So with that being said, Harold's been in this industry for 25 years. He's worked with big companies like United, Concordia, Dental Benefit Providers, Pacific Care, Healthcare, and managed his whole insurance company for a while. Gavi has been in the industry for a very long time, sales and marketing. He's truly, he brings a marketing expertise to the mix, which is great because a lot of our clients need help with marketing. But I think the story is pretty amazing of how Apex started. Really, they knew the problem existed. They got together, Gavi, Joe, and Harold, and said, we're going to solve this problem. I think we're good at negotiating stuff, and we're going to help. Hey, we're good at negotiating, and then you guys were for all these years. Why don't we do this in dentistry? And 6 years ago, Apex came about, and here you are. So let's talk a little bit about Apex. What is just if there was like 2-3 things that you do, if you could provide that to us, that'd be great.
The goal of Apex Reimbursement Specialists is primarily to increase profitability for a dental office. And we do that really in 4 key ways. Okay. One, PPO fee negotiation that you spoke about. Credentialing. Credentialing is something that costs a lot of practices a lot of time and money to have staff do that for them. Okay. And we often find that it's not done correctly. Okay. So credentialing in an effective, efficient way also saves practices time and money and reduces stress. We also help them increase their profitability through coding appropriately. Analyzing their practice analysis report to see which codes they might be underutilizing and create an opportunity that, listen, if we point these codes out to them, help them create additional opportunities for treatment of care, that'll translate to profitability. And fourthly, we talk about their UCR, their usual, customary, and reasonable fee schedule, or other people know it as their cash paying schedule. This is the heartbeat of fees when it comes to a dental practice. And if you're not priced appropriately, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're losing a lot of revenue that could be had over the years. So those 4 key areas: PPO fee negotiation, credentialing, coding, and UCR. Gavi, did I leave anything out?
How about capitation? DHMO capitation. Do you guys help with that?
Capitation is an interesting point because capitation, as you know, capitation is that flat fee that insurance companies are paying their providers to participate in an HMO environment.
Sure.
Capitation itself doesn't necessarily get negotiated,
Okay.
but in the DHMO arena, there are opportunities to negotiate when you're a specialist. Some of the
Okay.
general fee schedules are locked in by the states. They're state mandated type schedules or filed schedules.
Sure.
But there is opportunity to generate additional revenue through negotiation of specialist schedules within the DHMO environment. From a national basis, the DHMO space, I would say, is constricting a little bit. Maybe in Florida, California, DHMOs are still prevalent, but most of the country is moving away from there in the PPO environment. But there's still opportunity to drive new patients and additional care through DHMOs as well.
So fee negotiation, credentialing. How does credentialing work in terms of just quickly in terms of making them more profitable?
I don't want to step
You're
on
doing
Bobby's toes, but really in the world of credentialing is why be credentialed in the first place? Why participate with insurance companies? That whole credentialing process is in essence an application process to participate in network for an insurance company. And why do that?
Okay.
A lot of clients come to us and they say, you know what, we have a lot of chair capacity. There's a lot of opportunity to drive new patients. Our marketing isn't quite doing it, but maybe we should participate in more insurance companies.
Sure.
So that credentialing aspect of it, for how we look at it, is looking into a particular geography and identifying employer groups and which insurance companies they participate, going back to our client and saying, you know what, Dr. Jones, you don't participate with this insurance company, but this large employer of 1,000 employees in your neighborhood does participate with XYZ insurance company,
Right.
and you may be missing out on those new patients because you don't participate.
That's very interesting. So your insurance background where it helps you in this process because you used to work with large employers and understand where the membership was. Because obviously you credential with and let's say you credential with everybody doesn't mean it's going to benefit you. You have to really look at selectively of what plans have the most membership in the area that you have. That way you have the most chances of succeeding.
It's critical because we do speak to clients that just participate with everybody. That doesn't necessarily translate to increased profitability or new patients.
Right.
When we evaluate carriers and schedules, we want, and on behalf of a client to drive new patients, we want to evaluate based on new patient opportunity, which is really employer groups in that particular
Sure.
geography,
Sure.
but also at the highest fee schedule possible. Based on our experience at credentialing, we also have the opportunity to increase the fees and negotiate those higher fees at point of credential.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's a really important piece that relates to profitability, where you might have a client that, office manager is doing a lot of different things, or staff is doing a lot of different things in office, and the dentist says, hey, go credential me with that insurance company, and that could take many, many days. What often people miss out on is the opportunity to negotiate at point of credential. So knowing which employers participate with the plan, knowing what kind of new patient opportunity there will be for the practice, but
Fantastic.
also negotiating at point of credential, all that contributes to increased profitability for the practice.
Wonderful. So as we conclude this initial segment, I want to talk about trends that are happening in the industry. There's a lot of consolidation going on. There's a lot of DSOs coming into the marketplace. We have a lot of these potential mergers, and fees have been kind of stagnant across, and carriers are not really playing ball. So what do you see like the big trends that are happening in light of where the DSOs are going and where professional and individual practices are going? What do you see?
Okay, so let's start with, since you mentioned the DSOs, let's start there. So there's a growing trend of DSO in the group market that is growing 20% year over year.
Wow.
And I think the solo practice needs to be very aware that they're now competing with groups that have teams behind them that are handling the negotiations
Right.
and the fee setting and the credentialing. And in order for the solo practice to be competitive with the groups and to have the same efficiencies,
Sure.
it's something they need to consider, perhaps outsourcing those tasks or making sure that they're not that their staff, the time of their staff is being used appropriately.
Right. And sometimes you don't have we see dental offices being so busy. There's so much to do during the course of the day, and then on top of that, now you're telling your billing person, just to go negotiate this, and they're going to do whatever they can. It's not going to be strategic in any way.
Well, we hear this a lot. Why can you do better than I can?
Okay.
So the number one reason might be is that we do this all day. So they try to get on the phone, and then they have a patient standing in front of them.
Right.
What decision do they make? They're not going to stay on the phone for the hours it takes to have that proper conversation.
I was going to add to that, and it's very critical that, or what we hear from practices, especially solo practices and practices in general, that they feel it's an adversarial relationship between them and the insurance company.
Right. Sure.
And having come from that side of the fence for 25 years, I work hard. We all work hard at making sure it's a mutually beneficial relationship. I've always been a proponent of insurance companies they don't have a network without their dentists. And the dentist really could have a diminished patient flow or not have the patient flow or grow their practice to quite the capabilities without the insurance company as well. So we want to build that teamwork. So when we do events, industry events, etc., we always get both those parties together. We want the insurance companies to understand how important the dentist is, and also the dentist should understand the role the insurance companies play. It should not be an adversarial relationship. So it's that part of it you don't have as if you have, let's say, your office manager, or an assistant to actually call insurance companies. They don't have all that background, that experience, those relationships to help achieve the success that we do. So that's very important.
Well, this sounds pretty fascinating. I'm excited to have a deeper dive into some of the conversations that we recently had about fee negotiation. But really, anything in the third party networks arena that's relevant for our group to listen to?
Yes, so the third party, the emergence of the third party network is something that's becoming more popular every year. We see this a lot. Although the fee schedules might be higher in many cases, there are a few factors that a dentist has to concern themselves with. Number one, there's no guarantee that a sub-participating carrier will stay within that third-party relationship forever.
Okay.
So, for example, this past year, Cigna, who was in Connection Dental, left in May of 2017. So whoever had a Cigna through Connection Dental plan,
Right.
all of a sudden no longer have that.
Yeah.
So that's a consideration that needs to be made. Also, the time it takes to credential within that third-party network, there's two levels, which we'll talk about more in the credentialing. But one level is the credentialing with that leased network, and the next level is for that network to then tell their sub-participating providers to then enter that provider into the network. So it looks good.
It looks easy.
It
but
looks
it's not.
easy,
It's
and
not.
in some cases, if you have an existing practice with existing direct relationships, we get calls about, well, what do you think? I have MetLife now, but I heard that I can get MetLife through a third-party network and the fees are higher.
Sure.
You have to be very, very careful in making that decision because you're going to have potentially the minimum of 180 days out of network time during that transition. So,
And we'll talk more about that. I
absolutely,
think you guys are going to talk about that.
but that's just the trend that has to.
So in conclusion, how do people reach you? And what's the process? Do they call you? They go on your website?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah, feel free. They can, a practice or a DSO, anybody of that nature that wants to learn about how can I increase my fees, how can I get help with credentialing, how can I understand my coding, how could you help me with setting my office fees, can feel free to go into our website, apexreimbursement.com.
Okay.
They can call our office at 410-710-6005.
Okay.
I'd also like to add that we just recently created a newsletter that
Okay.
they can subscribe to. We can add that link. So that's another way that they can get information from us.
Well, wonderful. And most of your, I think, to our viewers, their process is basically no obligation until there is results. Which is that true for the most part?
It's really true as it relates to the PPO fee negotiation. Okay. It's really when an office hires us, we have to prove our worth. We don't get paid our negotiation fees unless we're actually successful in negotiating higher fees. And who dictates that success? The dentist. When the dentist feels we've given them value and they've accepted the new schedule, then we actually earned our fees, naturally creating a natural great ROI.
And when I heard that for the first time, I said, I have to have you guys here because that is ultimate accountability. And I love organizations and businesses. I've acted like this my entire life in every profession every business I've done is that if I didn't see a benefit to my client, I didn't want to get paid. So I appreciate that philosophy that you adopt, especially in this arena. So I'm excited about today's videos that you guys are going to do for us, and we'll continue the conversation. So
We're
thank
happy
you.
to be here. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.